good, the bad, and the odd. They don't half talk some bollocks.
Welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Odd with your hosts, Mike and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Right, so this week is my pick. It's a free pick, and I have picked 1981's American Werewolf in London.
Hmm.
Um, have you seen this before?
I have.
Oh, you have. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember why I picked this. I do remember being a kind of I need to watch some werewolf films because I watched
Hmm.
a few recently. Did we do Dog Soldiers not long ago? Am I dreaming?
No. We
Didn't. I
we
must
I
have
don't
done
think
it
we've
as a.
done Dog Soldiers for the
We need to do.
podcast.
If we've
Hmm.
not, we should. It's probably my favourite werewolf film. But I have also watched Ginger Snaps, which is a great werewolf film. But
Hmm.
this is like top tier werewolf film, in my opinion.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on it before we get into it?
It's okay.
It's okay.
Like, yeah, standout, like amazing standout is the werewolf transformation scene.
Yeah,
Uh, but otherwise it's like it's not that much of a werewolf film.
yeah.
Like,
It's kind of well regarded as like a
yeah.
really good example of comedy horror because it mixes up the comedy and the horror, and doesn't really dilute each. There isn't that much comedy in this, though. Having said that,
Hmm.
it's more of a horror film than anything, but it's kind of amusing in places. Um, John
Yeah.
Landis actually wrote a script for this in 1969, and then shelved it and put it to one side and did some other stuff until he could get funding for it. So it
Hmm.
feels like it's a pet project for him,
Yeah.
quite specifically being a writer and that. Um, Now, John Landis is an interesting guy because he first came to my notice with the hilarious Kentucky Fried Movie, which borrows basically it's the same kind of jokes and humor as Airplane,
Okay.
but it's more like a sketch. You know, each scene's like a different thing, and it's parodying trailers or terrible adverts or news reports.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right at the end, a news report comes up and says, "Ah, nuclear warheads heading our way. More news at 11." Things like that. It's stupid things like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun one, but I mean, he really hit it big time. I think with House, um, National Lampoon's Animal House, and then The
Yeah.
Blues Brothers, which was really, a very popular film.
Yeah.
I'm not kind of sure. I'm not sure how it did in the box office, but it's never been anything other than people love it. Really, The Blues Brothers. Um, and then he went on to do American Werewolf in London.
Mm.
After that, Coming Soon, which is a documentary I've never seen, so we won't really count that. It's not a movie. And then it
Yeah.
was Trading Places.
Mm.
So he had a really good run. Trading Places is a great movie. And then, unfortunately, all bit of a judder or stop or issues with Twilight Zone the movie because there was a
Mm.
very serious accident resulting in deaths on the set of his segment of Twilight Zone the movie.
Yeah.
So that that was problematic to say the least, and quite tragic.
Yeah.
However, American Werewolf in London, um, it's one of the things I always kind of like about it is it does pick up on some Britishness, considering it's an American director.
Yeah.
It is set in England, but there's a lot of Britishy stuff in it, which if they he must have lived in Britain for a while because
Yeah.
it just feels like he knows, he's riffing on stuff that someone
Like that is
had
just
done.
how a pub in a place where you don't live is.
Well, it
Like
wasn't
that's
just a
just what
pub.
it like.
There was other stuff, but
I'm
I
just
should.
using that as an
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah. Um, right. I mean, I was going to say, should we start port spoilers? But this is quite an old film, and loads of people have seen it,
yeah,
so
we
I
can't
don't think we
really
have to worry too
spoil a
much.
40-year-old film.
Yeah.
So
What did you think of the leads? Griffin Dunn and David. Oh, sorry, not the leads. The two starting actors, David Norton and Griffin Dunn.
yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah, it works,
It's
didn't
like,
it?
yeah, standard sort of down to earth guys.
Yeah,
Some wisecracks, but mostly they're just kind of hiking through rain and kind of miserable until it happens. So
yeah. And the other main lead is Jenny Agutter as Nurse Price, right?
yeah,
Uh, I thought she was terrific, actually.
yeah,
In this, it was it was weird because she was kind of famous well before this because she was became famous as quite a young actress, 15, 16,
okay,
and always a well regarded actress.
yeah,
And she wasn't in the limelight for quite some time, and then suddenly she pops up in this. So that was kind of
hmm,
interesting, and I'll give her props for being able to act through. being a motive to a werewolf.
Yeah,
It's like that.
yeah.
Yeah, there was music by Elmer Bernstein, which is freaky because
Mm.
he's written lots of film stuff, but more classic horror Hollywood era. But obviously, the main music elements of this were the
All the
goofy
bleeding moon
songs,
songs.
moon songs about the
Pale Moon
moon,
Rising, Blue
Mad Moon,
Moon, Moon
Blue Moon.
River,
Yeah,
all sorts.
they loved their jokes about the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a critical and commercial success. Yeah, not surprising. Rick
Mm.
Baker won the first, I believe, Academy Award for Best Makeup. I
Yeah, that's
believe that
fair.
was the first time it was presented. So, well, yeah. There was a sequel which I'd never seen, but apparently it's quite dreadful because it relies on CG and an
Yeah.
era, and CG wasn't very good. 1997, where American Werewolf in Paris. So yeah, so we
Mm.
get these two, David and Jack, trekking across what's meant to be the Yorkshire Dales, right?
Yeah.
In
Looks more
fact,
like Bodmin, but like,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it was filmed in Wales, actually.
Okay,
Some
yeah. So,
bits definitely don't look like the more. The pub and the village definitely look like the Dales, a sort of thing you've seen in
mm,
Yorkshire moors. So, yeah, but there were some stretches where it's like, yeah, that's not Yorkshire. It's way
yeah.
too bleak. It's way too bleak. Yorkshire's greener than that. And it did look like Wales. So it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just, they get a lift from a bloke with sheep. They're in the
Yeah.
back with the sheep, Homer Simpson style kind of thing. And he's saying, "I've got to drop you here, lads." And he's like, "Stay on the roads, keep off the
Yeah.
moors." But he
Yeah.
doesn't say any more than that. They approach a village and they find a very odd pub
Yeah.
called the Slaughtered Lamb, which doesn't have British pubs famously have a symbol of what the name is hanging up from the days when people were illiterate, right?
Yeah.
Um, but instead of a lamb or even a slaughtered lamb, it's a werewolf head,
Yeah.
a wolf head on a spike, basically, with a full moon behind it. That's the pub symbol, and they kind of go,
Yeah.
"Slaughtered lamb, where's the lamb?" One of them says, and he goes, "Oh, maybe it's inside." They go in,
Yeah.
everyone goes quiet, and I don't know. There's a comment about Remember the Alamo, and I think one of the boys say so. The Alamo, and
Yeah.
the woman says, "Yeah, I remember the Alamo. It was that film with John Wayne," and they're saying, "Yeah, that was a terrible film." Uh,
Yeah.
and they kind of ask for some food. They get, do they get like a full cup and saucer? Like a china cup and
Yeah.
saucers and stuff. And Jack is like, "Why is there a pentagram on the wall? Why are there candles?" He goes, "It doesn't matter, doesn't matter."
Yeah.
And we see Brian Glover's like the main character in the pub, like laughing and joking, even though they've gone all quiet when they came in. They kind of warm up because he's telling a
Yeah.
joke about, people in a plane, international
Yeah.
diplomat. And the punchline is, "Remember the Alamo," when the American diplomat throws out the Mexican diplomat
Yeah.
out of the plane. And just as they're all laughing, Jack's like, "What? I can't remember now. Did he ask about the candles or the
He asks about
pentagram?"
the pentagram,
Pentagram. Says, "Why
and
have you got a
they,
star on the wall?" And they
yeah,
immediately shut up. And one's
yeah.
like,
It's like the cult sort of stares, like you don't ask those sort of questions, boy.
"You don't
Sort of
answer
thing.
sort of question." He goes, "You made me miss. I've never missed." Bloke playing darts. There's a big darts motif in this film for some reason I don't know.
Yeah.
He goes, "You made me miss. You best
Mm.
go." And he's like, "Yeah, best go, lads." And the bar lady's like, "You can't let him go. You can't." I've got to mention, chess
Yeah.
player. They play. Brian Glover's playing chess with Rick
Hmm.
Mail.
Yeah.
In I think his first film role. It was before he. I'm trying to remember. He would have been in The Young Ones at this point, so he was a known face in Britain. But he's a minor character.
Yeah.
He
Well, he
says one
was.
line, right? Remember
Yeah.
the Alamo. He just repeats "Remember the Alamo," and that's it. Anyway,
Yeah. So
sorry. Go on.
apparently, though, Rick Mail was in one film prior to this as another sort of background character that
Was he?
released like
Oh, okay.
a couple of weeks before
Oh, how
American
about
Werewolf.
that? Okay.
Film called Eye of the Needle with Donald Sutherland. So,
That's like a British
spy
spy film
film, according to this.
set in the war,
Yeah.
World War Two or something, if I
Yeah.
remember rightly. Like a thriller, but sort of I think there's a romance in it and all sorts. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, as they leave, it's like, stay on the road, lads, don't
Yeah.
touch the moors, and beware of the moon. And it's like they're leaving the pub. He goes, beware of the moon. What are they talking about? He goes,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to get away from the slaughtered lamb. He says, we'll try and find an inn up the road, but they're just having a laugh. Anyway, it starts raining, doesn't it? So they're walking through the rainy moors, walking away, chatting away, and suddenly they go, we're not on the road.
Yeah.
They realise they're not on the road anymore.
Yeah.
And then they hear howling.
They immediately get jumped.
Yeah, well, they say, I hear howling. He goes, what's that? He goes, could it be a coyote? He goes, in Yorkshire?
Yeah.
Yeah, they immediately
It's
get jumped.
it's on the verge of the RAUSs. I don't think they exist. Ah! Sort of thing.
Yes.
So
I
it's
mean,
like, oh man, we should probably get back on the road. Ah!
I give this film its props. It's punchy. It's punchy
Yeah.
that way. There's no drawing out of tension. It's like, boom. So
Yeah.
Jack gets attached and savaged by the werewolf. We kind of see it fairly clearly, don't we?
Mm.
At this point, and David runs, but as he's running, he like Jack. He realizes he left his friend behind, so he goes back, goes running back, and he can kind of see the creature, which does claw him, right?
Yeah, it scratches his face up.
Scratches his face. And then the villagers come running with a shotgun, shotguns.
With guns,
They
yeah.
basically shoot the thing. But as David's lying there semi-conscious because he's been attacked, and he looks to one side and he sees a naked man all bloody near him, right?
Yeah.
So he sees a dead man, and then passes out. And then he wakes up in a London hospital, very typical London hospital.
Yeah, apparently 3 weeks later.
It says
But
3 weeks later.
yeah. They kind of reacted as if it was immediately.
Yeah.
So,
Well, from his point of view, it is immediately, isn't it? 'Cause
yeah.
he's been unconscious for 3 weeks. Yeah. So yeah, not interesting.
Yeah, interesting
weird
first
pub,
act.
weird village,
So,
bit folk horror-y in some places. I mean,
yeah.
because they talk about at one point in the Pentagram. That's from the werewolf films, isn't it? The werewolf discussion starts early. Usually,
Yeah,
with werewolf films,
oh, what
you
was
don't
it?
quite know what's happening.
Yeah,
So
they
we go-
specifically start talking about the Wolfman.
They
Yeah.
do. And they start, and there's some talk of
They're like, yeah, Lon Chaney Jr.,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, there's
But
a bit of that.
yeah, so we then kind of get like a recovery period where David's like in hospital and Jenny Agutter is looking after him.
After him. Her and another nurse, but she obviously takes a real shine to him.
Yeah,
She sits up with him at night when he's sleeping, all sorts. And the doctor's there, and he's sort of saying, "Oh, and then we get this weird scene where the doctor's in there explaining, prepare yourself, your friend is dead." Very British. Prepare yourself, your friend is dead.
yeah.
Meanwhile, they got the bloke from the American consulate. It's Frank Oz. Frank
Yeah.
Oz. From the
Cos who
Muppets.
just charges in and is an asshole
He's
the
an
entire
arsehole.
time. He's
He's
just
from the American
shouting at him.
embassy saying that we've got it all covered. We've informed your parents and all this. And then he complains when David goes nut, in shock.
Yeah.
Saying, these kids.
Kids don't like care what we do for them. So
Yeah, got to mention this because Frank Oz is also in the Blues Brothers, right? He's the one
Yeah.
who gives. Is it Jake? John Belushi's character, his stuff back in the prison, right?
Yeah.
One prophylactic, unused, one prophylactic. That guy.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Frank Oz again. So Frank Oz,
Yeah.
John Landis,
Well, Frank Oz has been on a lot of things we've talked about.
And indeed, we do see the Muppets in the background at one point.
Yeah.
For quite some time. And I had to laugh because they were in the end credits. It's Kermit as himself, Miss Piggy as herself.
Yeah.
End credits. Amazing. So we also get this, and the doctor said, the police wish to talk to you, and I have given, and your ambassador, the embassy have given the police permission to talk to you. I guess that seems legit because a citizen from another thing, the police would standard to ask permission to be able to interview. That's just standard. So, but then we get a scene with the doctor and the two coppers, which play for laughs, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The sergeant drops a load of kidney bowls, one bigger than the other, and then spends time rattling around trying to put them in the right order inside each other. We get all that of that. And then when the inspector's talking to the policeman, they sort of go through it. But when they're talking to David, the inspector says, "Well," and David's like, "No, I saw it was a creature. It was an animal. It wasn't a lunatic. It wasn't a man."
Yeah.
And then the inspector's like, "Well, we have two we got eyewitnesses. We got confirmation that this happened. This, that, and the other." And his sergeant goes, "But sir, this man seems very rational. Maybe we should consider." And the inspector's like,
Yeah.
where are you going with this, sergeant?" Because
Yeah.
well, be quiet, some of that kind of
Yeah.
play for laughs kind of thing. And we do see those two guys right at the end.
Yeah.
We don't see them again, right? We don't see them.
Mm.
There's some of that. David's like having really weird dreams. We have some proper
Yeah. I
have your
like I
cake
said,
and eat it, jump scare dreams, don't we? Right?
yeah, like I'd forgotten about all the dream stuff.
Yeah.
The Nazi werewolves were a shock.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
David seeing himself in the clearing, that's quite a scare when he's all white and got sharp teeth, and he's got Jenny Agatha in the clearing in the woods somewhere. We have a lot of him dreaming about running in the woods, wearing the outfit he wore when he was running away from the werewolf first, right? So that's kind of freaking him out. But he's saying no, it was some sort of wolf or dog or something,
Yeah.
But then he gets visited by Jack, who died, right?
Yeah.
Apparently undead, walking around as a kind of zombie. Now, I never quite get this. I presume this is in David's mind because no one else sees this guy.
Well, yeah, no one else sees him, but I don't think it's just like in his mind. I think it is a supernatural thing. I think when they say like, "Oh yeah, we're tethered to life now,"
yeah,
that I think is like the supernatural effects.
So David, basically, Jack's saying, "You're a werewolf, right? Anyone that you kill, it remains the earth as an undead until you die, until the last of the bloodline, or whoever's got the infection dies. You are the last. Please kill yourself." Is basically and they sort of David thinks he might be going mad, right?
Yeah.
He's having these mad dreams.
And he does actually, in a kind of a horror first, he does talk to the nurse about it.
Yeah, he does. There's no hiding it. He just says, "Look, I don't know what's going on." So meanwhile, this bit I'd forgotten. Dr. Hirsch actually goes to the slaughtered lamb. Now he says he's kind of was in the area, but I'm trying to work out, did he actually drive all that way?
I think he just drove all that way
because he was intrigued by it. The reason is he does explain I think he says to the nurse, right? But he basically is like, right, this man was treated before he arrived, but there's no doctor's reports. There's no local reports of this attack. They've lost files. It's all very suspicious. And when he goes to the village, they're mad, right? They're obviously, they want him to leave.
That's very standoffish.
They won't give him any food.
Yeah.
So you better go now. But one of them actually, doesn't even beckon him. He goes out the pub and says he's got to check the dogs. And they're like, "The dogs are all right." He goes, "I'm going to check the dogs anyway." But he's just standing watching when the doctor comes out. And the doctor goes over and he starts, and he says, it starts with that boy, something about David, right? They start talking about David, but we don't see any more of that conversation. So Hirsch knows something's up. He is more concerned that these villagers are kind of got into their head there's werewolves, and might have somehow be then part of David's psychosis, or
it is kind of funny because they think that they're in different like folk horror films. So like he thinks he's like, oh, there's like a cult out here that's doing stuff. While David's having like the worst fucking time ever.
I don't quite get this. Is it that this village just has werewolves about? Or
I think that is it's the simplest answer. So I think that's most likely the case.
But I don't want to talk about it, warn anyone.
Well, well, would you look?
No,
I think
probably not.
Like just a few years have proven that people won't stay away from something if you warn them about it. Like, so that's just going to bring people come. So let's just keep that away.
We see scars on David's face and on his chest, don't we, from the
Yeah, he's
attack?
got a big like slash.
But he's he's been in basically a coma for 3 weeks.
Mm.
And it appears the American embassy is keeping his family informed. But
Mm.
he's about to be discharged, and Nurse Price, Alex Price, is like, "Have you got anywhere to stay?" And the next thing we know,
Yeah,
she takes him back to her place and shows him
yeah,
around.
and
And
shows him a
they start,
room, and yeah, they hook up.
they
So
definitely. I mean, she definitely likes him. But meanwhile, he's having these problems. But she has to go to work, and he's like bored in the flat. Immediately
mm.
gets locked out. And this is what I was saying about some of the Englishisms. At one point, he's watching some telly, and there's a 30-second ad for the News of the World with Nina Carter, a character called Nina Carter, telling you, I've got these confessions about all my lovers and all this, which
Mm.
were ads at this time. That person is a real person. She was a page three girl.
Okay,
She did
yeah,
those but I think he just used an ad that was real and just included her. She's
entirely
credited.
possible.
Yeah,
So
that was exactly how it was. So you get TV ads like that because the News of the World was just like a salacious Sunday paper that got shut
what?
down because of
Yeah,
wrongdoing, right? But that's the sort of ads it would run. It was always going on about vicars, naughty vicars, and things like that.
yeah,
So that is like, well, you'd only put that ad in if maybe John Landis was staying there and he saw the ad and he couldn't believe what
yeah,
he was seeing. And so he just decided to put a 30-second ad in the middle of this film showing that with David watching it and then
yeah,
just turning off the TV because he's bored. At one point, David gets locked out of the house because he goes without a key, he goes wandering out.
yeah,
And he's saying goodbye to Alex, and suddenly a little dog starts barking at him madly. And he looks at the dog, looks at him, and it's just two little girls. And they just laugh at him and walk off. Two quite young little girls, but they're kind of.
mm.
And in fact, I think they're credited as creepy little girls in the end credits.
Yeah,
And then he climbs up and he tries and get through a window in the middle of London, right? This
yeah,
is, I think it was like Earl's Court or somewhere. In full view, he's like opening a window and climbing in. But while he tries to do it, there's a cat on the windowsill, and it really doesn't take to him.
no,
So we get a distinct impression that animals are really hating this guy.
yeah,
They know something's up.
yeah,
So, I mean, part of it is these dreams. He keeps talking about these weird dreams, and they are mad dreams, right? They're
yeah,
proper mad and gory. They like I say, they're having their cake and eating it with this, aren't they? They're giving us
yeah,
jump scares, but then there's no consequence, because it's a dream.
yeah,
Um, so, weirdly, and I didn't pick this up in the film, and I think this is just wrong. In the Wikipedia, it says, when he goes back to Alex, he goes, David rapidly develops a heightened sexual drive and uses it to seduce Alex. No, I think that's a
no,
young man doing his
yeah.
thing. Right, that's all it is. There's nothing about height.
Also, I think it's fair to say she pulled him.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely that way. Yeah, she says, "I'm just gonna have a shower." Next minute, they were both in the shower, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So they sleep together, and in the night he kind of just gets up, I think, or it might be the next morning. He gets up and he's
yeah.
sitting in, and then Jack appears again, who's even more decrepit. He's
Yeah,
full of,
he as the appearances go on, Jack gets worse and worse,
he's
and it's
fallen
really
to
well played.
pieces. Yes,
I did read somewhere that apparently there was a bit where Jack was going to start like eating food off the table, and it would drop out of his throat.
Oh yeah, they could have done. I think
Yeah,
I think Peter Jackson did that in The Frighteners, didn't he? That's
yeah, maybe.
anyway. So he starts saying, "You're going to become a werewolf tomorrow, and you're
Yeah,
going to kill people. The only way you
yeah,
can stop this is if
by
you
killing
kill
yourself. Yeah,
And then Alex goes, "Who are you talking to?" I can hear voice. He goes, "Yeah, I was just talking to Jack." And Jack's not there, obviously.
yeah,
And she's saying, "What, here?" And all of this. They start talking about werewolf films at this point, right? He goes, "Have you
yeah,
seen the werewolf? Have you seen the Wolfman?" He goes, "The Oliver Reed one." He goes, "No, the Lon Chaney." That's where he starts talking about the pentagrams and
yeah,
the biting and all that sort of stuff.
yeah.
So anyway, she goes off to work after this, and he gets
Yeah,
locked
for a
out.
night shift.
Then
So
he's just bored, knocking around the flat trying to read, just sitting there. But then the moon comes up when it comes through the window, and then
well,
we get
he's playing the radio, which plays Pale Moon Rising.
Paramore Rising, yeah. And then he just starts screaming, doesn't he, like he's in agony. And then we get that werewolf
Yeah,
transformation,
the iconic
which
werewolf transformation.
I have to say, watching it this time, I was going, holy shit. Watching this,
Yeah,
you can see the joins because we've
the
seen,
quality's now risen to a point where we
yeah,
can
we
just
can
see
see
it.
and CG kind of fills in the gaps. So we can
Yeah,
see that, oh, that isn't really his legs or, that.
yeah. He's
It's
like
whatever.
stood in the floor, sort of thing, as they stretch his torso out.
Yeah,
But
but even so, man, it's still amazing to watch.
yeah, there are a few bits where it looked like he just had big lumps on the back of his hand, which I presume was for like the mechanism to stretch his hand.
Yeah.
But aside from that, that was the only flaw I could find in the
Yeah,
whole chain.
and each
Change.
cut is more hairy, and his teeth
Yeah,
are bigger, and his eyes are looking weirder,
yeah,
and stuff like that. Until we get the full wolf face, it's still an amazing transformation.
yeah.
They did a similar one in The Howling, which I think came out the same year.
Same practical effects guy,
Oh,
Rick
okay,
Baker.
there you go. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll have to do The Howling sometime. I think that's kind
yeah.
of even
We
kinkier
should
than
do its
this.
sequel as well.
Oh yeah, man, do them all. There's some
Yeah.
nuts ones in that lot.
Or
Yeah.
what's it? Sturba Werewolf Bitch. I think
There's
it's
that
good. It's what it's
one.
called.
There's the one called The
So
Freak set in a circus. That's nuts. That
yeah,
is nuts. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah. We're getting off track, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
my big
he is
yeah
now a full
my
werewolf.
yeah my big problem with the werewolf in this is as amazing as the transformation sequence is. When you see the actual wolf itself, it's disappointing. It just looks like a big dog.
Kind of I can't remember how I felt when I first saw it because I haven't went to see this at the cinema or I saw it really soon after. So I saw it many, and I can't remember how. I got a feeling it didn't quite match up for me in
Yeah,
terms of
it's
I was expecting to be more like the Wolfman. We could kind of tell
yeah
it was him. That was the thing, maybe.
yeah
But
it's
even so, I think it's quite a great looking thing
mm,
myself.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just I feel like that the last shot of him transforming, where it's like he's got a hairless face, but the snout is like protruding out completely.
yeah,
That looks more like a werewolf than what we end up
yeah.
with
We end up with what looks
with
like a full
Big Wolf.
thing, a big wolf.
And unfortunately, sometimes the practical effects don't look great for it. Like there's a bit where it's running and it just looks like one of those kids' toys where like the legs move in sort of along wheels, sort of thing.
Okay. I
And
didn't
it
have that
just
problem.
yeah.
I didn't have that problem. I like the first set of attacks. We get these kind of made me laugh because again, it felt full English in a way that
Yeah,
the cops said, "Let's go around the back and scare them," and immediately get ripped apart by
yeah,
the world. But then the bloke's wife said, "Oh, those hooligans are out in the park. Go and see what's going on." Sends her husband out, which could potentially into a group
yeah,
of hooligans.
yeah. It's not her smartest idea.
He doesn't care. He goes out with his brandy and starts wandering around, saying, "Oh, who's there? And is that you?" And then he stumbles over his dead mates, ripped to
Mm,
pieces. He finds a hand, doesn't he?
yeah,
For example, and he gets ripped to pieces. And then we get one of my favourite bits of this, or sorry, most memorable bits of this, which is
mm,
the lone man in the underground. Which made me laugh because he got off at Tottenham Court Road, I think it was. And if you've ever been to Tottenham Road, it's never empty. It's never empty, right?
yeah,
Maybe back then it was or something. But he's got it to himself, and then he hears a weird noise from one of the tunnels, and he starts running through the. And the underground can be kind of scary, right? If you're
yeah,
not familiar with it, because it is just tunnels, bare tunnels, and if you're especially when you're on your own, it's a bit weird because you never know
yeah,
what you're going to come across, right? Um, though it's all clean, it's kind of Victorian tunnels, isn't it? The
yeah,
white brick flat brick, walls.
Yeah.
And we see him running, and then we see him hit an escalator and trip over. And then we see a really cool shot of the top of the escalator looking down on him coming up, but also looking further down at the bottom of the escalator. Then we see the werewolf, kind of stride out towards him. I like that. Did you like that bit?
Yeah, as I say, it just always kind of looks like one of those toys where it's like, you know what I mean when I say this, right? You roll a toy along
Yeah, I
and
do.
the legs move. It just looks weirdly stiff.
Yeah,
The
the back
limb
doesn't
movements.
move, right? The back
Yeah,
doesn't
the
move.
back never moves. So
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, so he goes on this rampage, right?
mm,
But then we see the next one. He wakes up in the wolf cage at London Zoo, right,
mm.
with these
Yeah,
wolves, and he's going,
people
"Nice
looking at him.
wolf." And he clambers out of the cage. And you see how he got in. There's a breakage in the cage at the top, and he climbs back through. Totally naked. He's running around London Zoo in the nude, fairly empty. Fair enough. It's going to be early in the morning, so it won't be that full.
Yeah.
First thing he does is a boy with balloons. He goes, "Hey, boy with balloons, come over here.
Mm.
I'll give you £1." And the boy's like, "Nah," he's shaking his head. "I'll give you £2." And he goes over. He goes, "Let me introduce myself. I'm the balloon stealer." And the boy goes, I can't remember what the boy said. Anyway, he snatches his balloons, uses it to cover his nakedness. And he is running
Mm.
around naked. At one point, yeah, this bit made me laugh. It was very British. He just bumps into this old lady, or this stern-looking lady, in the complete nude. And I think he just goes, "Excuse me, bit nippy in it," or something like that, and just runs
Yeah.
off. She's just like, just walks on like nothing
Yeah.
happened. Very,
Yeah.
very English way of dealing with that sort of thing. He's running around with these balloons, and he snatches a woman's coat as she's sitting on a bench with her husband or a bloke. Doesn't notice. He snatches a red coat off of her and carries on running. The next thing, we see him standing at a bus stop. We see people's feet, don't we? It pans along their feet like
Yeah.
high
And then
heels and
his bare
shoes,
feet.
and then his
So
bare feet, and it pans up, and he's got a red coat, and he says to the bloke there, "A bit nippy, isn't it?" I couldn't help wondering, well, where's his bus pair come from, right? Anyway,
mm,
yeah.
yeah.
He gets back to the
Probably from
flat.
in the coat. So
Meanwhile, the doctor's back, asking his price. He says, "What's your phone number?" He phones up the apartment. Davy's not there. They start getting concerned, and
yeah.
the doctor sort of suggests to Alex, "Go wait at your apartment." She's like saying, "I feel so useless." She's just hanging around,
Yeah.
and they're a bit worried about him. But also news come through of all these murders
Mm.
as well, right? Anyway, he turns up. He's feeling great though. He don't know what happened. He goes, "All I remember is I was reading in your apartment, and the next thing I knew, I woke up in London Zoo among the walls." But he's kind of a hyper, isn't he?
Yeah.
Rather than being really, he was concerned
Well,
about
he's had
being
a big
naked.
meal, so I guess.
Yes. And they're like, okay. I think she said, "Let's go to the hospital," and they're in a cab going to the hospital, and then the cab driver, who's Alan Ford, Bricktop from
Yeah.
Snatch, right? Alan Ford's early role, saying, "Oh, it puts you in mind of the Demon Barber of Fleet
Fleet
Street, doesn't
Street.
it?"
Yeah.
Reference to Sweeney Todd there. He goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "All these murders." I mean, it's more Jack the Ripper, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he goes, "All these murders," and then David, that freaks David out.
Yeah.
And we also find about it ourselves by the doctors walking down the street and looks at a newspaper reporting all this
Yeah.
stuff. So that's how we find out about it. And he jumps out of the cab. He goes, "Oh my God, you've got to put me away." And Alex
Yeah.
is like, "Well, the doctor will help you.
Yeah.
He goes up to a bobby and starts trying to get arrested.
Yeah. So they'll lock him up,
So he
and
starts
yeah.
saying things that he thinks would insult the copper. What does he say?
Does he say Prince Charles is gay or
Is
something like that?
gay.
Yeah.
The Queen is a man. Churchill. He says something about Churchill, but he says the most inserted thing of all you can imagine, which is Shakespeare was French. And the police was like, "Move along, sir. He won't arrest him." He goes, "Arrest," and he's driving him nuts.
Yeah.
So he's quite upset, and he runs off. And basically, he can't deal with it, and he
Yeah.
doesn't know what to do.
He ends
But
up running to a porno theater,
well,
which
basically,
is
he's wanders into Piccadilly Circus, and
yeah,
we see Jack gesturing to come towards him. Right, and this
yeah,
to this film. Well, we've seen ads for this film in the subway. By the way, see
yeah,
you next Wednesday, but it's like triple X,
yeah,
filth and all this. And he basically sees this "See you next Wednesday" and this little porno theater, like you say. Now I
yeah.
have to say,
In
porno in
Piccadilly
London
Square.
is nothing like what you'd expect now. Let's
No,
put it that way. And he goes up and he's like, "How much?" She says, 280, and he's got the money, and he goes in. What made me laugh is there's this porn theatre, and they actually had the prices up, and it said stalls £2.60, circle, which meant it's a full size cinema. That was
yeah, and
this
they do
guy
show
Jack.
it, and it's like a massive cinema. Whereas he goes and sits in the back, and there's like a few other people dotted about.
Yeah,
But then all the people that he's killed come in and basically just have a chat with him, trying to
yeah,
convince him to kill himself.
yeah. So
So,
Jack's there, and he's nearly rotted away. He's like, he's almost like
yeah,
he's a skeleton. He's saying, look, you killed this guy, and he's introducing and the man says, you made my wife a widow, you made my children fatherless,
yeah,
and what's worse is I now have to walk in limbo on the earth. Basically, Jack's introducing him to everyone.
yeah,
We did mention there's some tramps by the river. He gets them
yeah,
too. And they're saying, I wish I could say I was pleased to meet you, sir, but I'm not, and all that kind of.
yeah,
And he's talking away, and Jack's trying to convince him to kill himself, and he says, and they start debating how. And they said, sleeping pills, no sure thing. Hanging, they're debating with him, and he's like,
yeah,
so they're in there, and they're trying to figure out where he is, and then the moon comes up, so Jack
yeah.
actually
He
starts
starts
to
to
turn,
cancel
which
in
did
the
make me
theater.
laugh because at first in the theater he's going but no one pays any attention to it
But
because it's a
yeah,
porn bit. All right,
yeah.
but
I
then
also
he's
did like the goofy porno they were watching.
see
Where
you
it's
next
like
Wednesday. I should have mentioned
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
They some
terrible.
yeah. People having sex. The third guy walks in. And it's like, oh, I told you not to do this. And the guy goes, I've never met you before. And he goes, not you. And she goes, I've never met you before. And he goes, oh, sorry, wrong room. And
Yeah,
walks out.
just
It's
leaves.
like,
And there's a few goofier sides. There's like, for example, the woman answering the phone, it's the wrong number, and just going back to the bed. And it's like, well, what's the point of that?
yeah,
And I mean, Jack at one point, David at one point goes, "Great movie." And
yeah,
we also David does take the opportunity to try and phone his family, doesn't he?
yeah,
Sort of tell him he's loving, but it's his little sister who's like saying, "Let's not goofing around," and he's trying to say, "Tell mum and dad I love them." Right?
yeah,
We're trying to. Anyway, he turns in this theatre. The theatre manager goes in and immediately gets savaged, and there's blood everywhere. Right?
yeah,
And then the woman selling tickets starts shouting to please, please. A copper goes in, sees a bleeding werewolf, runs
yeah,
out, pulls down the shutters. We got the monster in here. We got the monster in here.
yeah,
So then, like a SWAT team turn up. Meanwhile, when Alex and the doctor hear about it, they rush off. Right?
yeah. They
They
rush off
rush
to
off.
it. And meanwhile, the rampage kind of starts. He breaks out, and they then starts charging all around Piccadilly Square.
Which creates absolute mayhem. I think he knocks the head off the inspector we saw earlier. Just
Yeah, he does
swipes.
kill the inspector.
Yeah, there's a London
But
bus
eventually
crashes.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a Blues Brothers level car
it's a
crash.
blues levels. They obviously didn't do that really in Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah.
They recreated that. And it's
No,
quite a good
but
recreation,
again,
though.
another thing I read, the basically in order to convince him to let him film in Piccadilly Circus, he showed the Blues Brothers he did a big screening of the Blues Brothers to a bunch of the London Met so that he could convince them to let him film.
Yeah, wow. How about that? How about that?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, they've trapped this werewolf. Now, this is the weird bit for me because up until this point, as far as Alex and the doctor are concerned, he's just got a mental problem, right?
Yeah.
but he is now a full werewolf.
Yeah.
You can see he's a werewolf, but she still goes and talks to him, right?
Yeah.
See, that was a bit dissonant. I think there needed to be something for her to sort of acknowledge she's seen some sort of the transformation.
Yeah, humanity
Or
and just anything.
Something.
Because
It just,
as I said, he just looks like a big wolf.
yeah,
Like
doesn't look like David at all, right? It's
no,
just a big wolf.
there's no discernible humanity in him. If he
Yeah,
was like a big bipedal thing, yeah, maybe it's like okay, I kind of see it in there. But no,
yeah,
he just looks like a big wolf.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but she starts to try and appeal to him. She says, "David, I love you," but then he goes to leap, and somehow, and again, it wasn't that well laid out because it
all
looked
the
to me
coppers are like about
she's
50
between,
meters back. Yeah.
yeah, and she's between them, but somehow they shoot her, the wolf in
Yeah,
the
they fire
sides.
full auto into this wolf, shoot him in the sides, and miss her completely.
Yeah,
And then
and
he
she
dies and turns back into a human.
human, and we just see him dead, naked and dead with bullet wounds.
Hmm.
And that's it. Crash ending into
Yeah,
Blue Moon, the fun version of Blue Moon, right?
yeah,
And the actual credits did make me laugh a lot. Actually, there were some silly things in the credits, like wicked, evil little girls and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, the porn actress's credit is Nina, naughty Nina.
No,
So,
no, that was the News of the World advert.
oh
That was
yeah,
no. One of the prawn actors was credited as Brenda Bristol's. It was that kind of level, right?
yeah,
There was also some weird comedy stuff at the beginning. I just remembered looking at the castings now, where the nurse asks a porter, an Indian porter,
Mm.
how did he seem? He goes, I don't know, I'm an orderly. I just give him his food. Don't ask me. I'm not a psychiatrist. It just gives a grin. That made me laugh. I've just seen something I did not know, which has blown my mind. There's a link to this and Kelly's Heroes. How about that?
yeah,
Yeah, John Landis was on working as a production assistant on Kelly's Heroes in Romania, and they came across a group of Romanies who were doing a ritual for a buried person so they wouldn't rise from the grave. So that got
yeah,
him. How about that? That's
yeah.
something. Yeah. John Landis actually did want to film in February and March. He wanted relatively poor weather, and he'd certainly got that.
Yeah,
We definitely see grey London skies here, don't we?
yeah,
Oh, I'm amazed they did allow him to shoot in Piccadilly. I assumed it was a set. So, and you just
yeah,
said he convinced them.
yeah.
They allowed him a 2-night filming permit, but it was between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Hmm.
And it says the traffic was only stopped 3 times for 2-minute increments to do all those stuff. That is amazing.
Pretty good. Yeah,
They did all that in 2-minute frames.
yeah.
It reminds me a bit of what they did with 28 Days Later, right?
Hmm.
They stopped London traffic, didn't they, to feel very early in the morning while it was
Yeah.
still first light.
I
kind of
imagine
light.
like you could probably get it down to like basically like an F1 repair crew sort of level thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
probably.
okay, we just got to set up and then we just roll the werewolf and film it and have people jump out of the way. And then we go run through or unpack it up, let the traffic go through for a while.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I have to say, even now, when I hear the Marcel's version of Blue Moon, I always think of the end of this film. It's kind of got me there. Yeah, it was a successful film, and I very much enjoyed this one. It's one of my favourite werewolf films, to be honest. You weren't so impressed, though, right?
no, like I say, it was. I think I honestly kind of think the Wolfman has spoiled a lot of werewolf things for me.
Right,
Just because I liked that film so much that
Wolfman.
yeah, Wolfman, the original like Lon
Yeah,
Chaney
the
Jr.
1941
Wolfman,
Wolfman.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
where it's just like, oh my God, please let me die.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird. Some werewolf films always feel a bit flat when it's just a big wolf, right?
Yeah,
There's one called Beast Must Die, which is disappointing because it's a big wolf. But
yeah,
whereas they're a bit more humanoid. I mean, Dog Soldiers, they're very effective because they're kind of humanoid, a bit, not very, but a bit.
yeah,
Ginger Snaps, not so much, but they take a long time with the transformations, so you see the character for longer. But yeah,
Mhm.
Rick Baker did some amazing work in this, though.
Yeah.
Has to be said.
I mean,
Um,
I genuinely for a while I was thinking it's like this is probably the second only in practical effects to like The Thing. So,
yeah, it is terrific. It is
and I
terrific.
was originally thinking it's like, did Rick Baker do The Thing as well? No, like I couldn't find any evidence of him being on that, but yeah,
Yeah,
it looks very similar.
I
So,
think he worked with someone who worked on the thing, or maybe the guy that worked on the thing
mm,
worked with him for a bit or something. I also want to mention there's a few tracking shots through the woods, very very brief, that remind me a little of the tracking shots in the Evil Dead as well.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think the Evil Dead and this was probably made about the same time. I could be wrong there.
mm,
So it's just convergent, just using a similar approach. The Evil Dead do it swisher for sure, and that was
yeah.
just Sam Raimi nailing the
Sound
camera
right,
to a
yeah,
board, and him and his mate just running through the woods with a camera on a board to give it a smoothness, right?
yeah,
So yeah, it's really. I think this is quite a fun film, and I
mm,
do enjoy it greatly. I think it's quite memorable in many of its
yeah.
ways. Certainly, the set pieces are definitely the transformation, the tube station, um, and I couldn't help thinking, boy, man, this guy's landed on his feet when he woke up and it was Jenny Agutter. Never mind the love story. The
Yeah,
fact he had Jenny Agutter as his nurse. And oh my God, what a
yeah.
lucky son. Uh, so that made me laugh. It was in a recent poll of Empire magazine. This film was named as the 107th greatest film of all time, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
Talking about all films of all time. So yeah, a lot of people like this, and I say it's a solid one in Landis's. I wouldn't mind doing some more Landis. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we've done the Blues Brothers, right?
Yes, we have.
I mean,
Apparently, Max Landis is trying to get a remake of this
oh,
put off the
okay.
ground,
Nah, I don't really.
but
No, not
no,
interested.
just don't.
Yeah, and it has to be some of his later films. I mean, Blues Brothers 2000 is appallingly bad,
Mm,
and I don't
yeah,
know why, because it's got quite a lot of the similar tropes, but it just does not work at all. But it's
yeah,
got some other fun ones. Coming to America's pretty good,
yeah.
and Three Amigos is fun. Spies Like Us is fun. So there's a few. I
And it's
really
a bit
like
more
Trading
back in the '80s,
Places.
but Clue was really good.
Was that one of his? It
Apparently,
he
wrote the story
directed
for
it.
it and produced it for
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Clue is very solid. I
yeah,
didn't even see that on the list. Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is probably one of his greats. I'd say Animal House, Blues Brothers, and this three in a row are probably his
mm,
greatest. But Trading Places, Kentucky Fried Movie is a good laugh. But honestly, it's one we probably couldn't do because all it is oh yeah, in this sketch they did this, and in this sketch, you know what I mean? There's
yeah.
nothing to talk about.
Too
It's just
much of a comedy
funny.
for
It's
us
like
to.
trying to review the sketches of Monty Python or something. You just,
I mean, you say that, but we did History of the World, so
we did, but that isn't sketch. That was sections. It's slight different. When they're only
Mm,
2 or 3 minute sketches, which is what Kentucky Fried
yeah,
Movie is. There's one long bit in it that's really good, which was a Mickey take of Enter the Dragon. It's called A
okay,
Fistful of Yen. That is about a 35-minute section that's really good, really funny.
yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't mind reviewing that, maybe.
Mm.
But yeah. Okay, let's rate this one. How would you rate it?
I'd rate this about 6 out of 10.
6.
Yeah,
I would give this a 9 for me.
yeah,
I really like it. Probably a lot of nostalgia built into that score.
yeah.
Probably, almost certainly, right? I just think it's a really top. For me, it's top 3 werewolf film. I'd say Dog
Yeah.
Soldiers and Ginger Snaps. I don't rate The Wolfman as highly as you. I like it,
Mm.
but only as a classical, a bit of classic Universal.
Yeah.
Um, of the classic Universals, there's like 4 or 5 I would consider total classics, and
Mm.
the rest are okay, or
Yeah.
they're good. And for
Yeah.
me, Wolfman is good. I think it was great casting and stuff. It's Lon Chaney Jr.'s finest moment.
Mm.
Character by far. He's
Yeah.
a very good Lawrence Talbot.
Mm.
But yeah, okay, cool. We'll wind out there. So
Okay.
bye from me.
Bye.